What's up everyone, and welcome back to another What If video. Last time, we saw the conclusion to the Buu saga, as well as the introduction of Beerus. This time around, Vegeta was the one to become the Super Saiyan God, and now, he's become the strongest of the group by a pretty large margin. Gohan continued his training, albeit not that rigorously, but enough for him to keep up on his own by using purely Ultimate. With Battle of Gods over, that led us into Resurrection F, which went pretty quickly. Frieza really never got to do pretty much anything, thanks to Gohan being able to stop him this time. Let's start from here. Following the last part, we now arrive to the Universe 6 tournament. Champa arrives on Beerus' planet, and we get the whole thing about the tournament being set up. Pretty standard here. The team isn't too hard to make here either. Vegeta and Goku are two obvious picks, and the next two obvious choices are Gohan and Piccolo, both of whom are much stronger than their canon counterparts. Finally, we need a fifth member. Magetta isn't around here because Beerus sees no need to include him. Vegeta is already motivated enough to keep going, and his goal is surpassing Beerus, while Goku is motivated to catch up to Vegeta here. Magetta isn't needed as a motivator because of these two things. So for a fifth member, they go for the next strongest option, which is Tien. Yeah, Tien's kind of an oddball pick, but in this scenario, he's made an immense amount of progress in comparison to his canon self. In the Cell Saga and Buu Saga, he had much more training and experience, training which was more rigorous as well than his normal routine. Tien also has Kaioken here, and while the Saiyans focus on their Super Saiyan forms instead of Kaioken, the humans who have learned Kaioken don't have any other transformations or techniques to actually focus on. So all of Tien's focus has really been towards improving Kaioken and increasing his stamina usage in it. They could actually ask someone like Yamcha or Krillin, or even a really oddball pick like Videl, who's actually been kinda training with Gohan a bit like I briefly mentioned earlier, even though she's still very weak in comparison. Or even Goten and Trunks are options as well. But Tien is the best choice here. He's the strongest human, as well as the strongest option in general. Plus he's a master at strategy and martial arts, unlike someone like Goten or Trunks, so he's naturally the best fit here. Tien hasn't been able to truly test his power in a while, and while he has his dojo to actually maintain, leaving it briefly for a tournament isn't something he minds too much. Tien is much more involved with the group after his experiences in the Cell and Buu saga during this scenario, and the same applies to the other humans as well. And even though the others are good choices, Tien is still the best option here. In terms of training, Goku and Vegeta still head into the Room of Spirit and Time for 3 years beforehand, and they get some good training in like normal. This training allows them to practice some new techniques as well as improve their power, and you'll see what I mean during the tournament. 3 days pass and they exit the Room of Spirit and Time, and after taking a shower and shaving, they end up heading to the tournament with the rest of the group. Arriving on the unnamed planet, Universe 7's fighters are now ready to fight. For the order, it goes as follows. Goku's up first, followed by Piccolo, then Tien, Gohan, and finally Vegeta. First, we have Goku versus Botamo, and there's nothing really that changes here too much. Goku gets the win against Botamo, and it's nothing out of the ordinary. And since Universe 6's order remains the same, next Goku ends up facing against Frost, and he loses like normal. That's a little strange. People suspect that Frost is up to something. How could he defeat Goku so easily? He doesn't even seem that strong. Next he's up against Piccolo, and just like normal here, Piccolo gets defeated too. This guy shouldn't be that strong, where he could defeat these two so easily. Tien is up next, and having 3 eyes and sharp vision really helps him here, because he's able to pick up on something that no one else noticed. He's been able to pick up on Frost's movements, and he picked up on the fact that Frost has been lunging his wrist out towards Goku and Piccolo, albeit very subtly, and this catches Tien's eyes, all 3 of them, and that's when Tien spots it. On Frost's wrist, it's barely visible, but he can see a light reflecting off it. There's something on there that's metal and reflective. Tien points out, and it's found that Frost is using needles. Plus, Frost's true identity is revealed. Not really surprising, considering everyone judged him to be kinda like Frieza from the start, but no matter. Tien didn't want him disqualified though. He wants to actually test out his strength against him, and instead, he fights him just without Frost using the needles. And it's a pretty close fight, but once Tien pulls out his Kaioken, he's able to secure the victory, and it's a good practice for him and lets him see where he is in terms of power. He actually enjoyed it quite a bit. Moving on to the next round, Tien faces up against Magetta. Tien can't hurt him at all, but after finding out about his weakness, Tien is able to insult Magetta in order to win the fight. But he finds out about the weakness kinda late into the fight, long after Magetta already tried to smoke him out by heating up the arena. Tien forfeits after this, leading this match to be a draw. With Magetta making the arena so hot, he needs to catch his breath and recover his stamina. He wouldn't be good in the fights if he kept going like this. He's too tired out from the heat, and he doesn't really want to push himself too far to where he'll probably pass out or die and be useless to the team. Next, Gohan is up against Cabba. Gohan's pretty interested to hear that Cabba is actually a Saiyan, but he's also surprised to find out that he doesn't know what Super Saiyan is, and that he doesn't have a tail, or he wasn't born with one either. Gohan's actually pretty intrigued to hear about all this stuff, especially seeing this other universe, and how it even has similar races, but they're even different than the Universe 7's. You know, being a scholar and all, Gohan would probably love to learn about this kind of stuff and study other universes and make some big discovery, so this is really going up his alley. But even though it's interesting for him to learn about, that's obviously not what he's here for. They're both here for a fight. Unlike Vegeta, Gohan isn't going to teach Kaba about Super Saiyan in the middle of the fight or try to force it out of him. The two of them have a friendly match, both in base forms, and they form somewhat of a nice bond here. Gohan ends up winning against Kaba pretty easily, and Kaba doesn't learn Super Saiyan here. And Gohan says that he'll teach him it sometime in the future, maybe if they meet up again, but this is going to have big consequences later on. You could probably infer what I'm referring to. Kaba only knows about Super Saiyan, but he doesn't actually know how to access it or if he can even use it himself. And that'll have a snowball effect later. Universe 6 has one fighter left, and it's Hit, who faces off against Gohan first. Gohan tries to fight him, but his attacks do absolutely nothing. He pushes himself all the way to Ultimate, and it closes the gap a little bit, but the gap is still massive. He's still no match. He's able to figure out Hit's time skip though, which is a breakthrough for the team. But even though Gohan knows about it and how to counter it, he's not actually fast or strong enough to do that, especially when Hit's ahead and he's always improving. Gohan gets eliminated by Hit eventually, and now Vegeta is up to face him. He's not too worried though. Watching Gohan fight Hit gave Vegeta enough insight about Hit's ability, so even though the time skip ability seems kinda worrisome, he has an idea of how he could fight against it. Vegeta starts first in blue, powering up more as he fights. He's learning how to work around Hit, but Hit keeps improving. He gets a few hits in, and knows it's not enough. Eventually, Hit's time skip gets to a point where it's too long for Vegeta to handle in his current state, letting Hit use his time skip for about up to a second. Luckily for Vegeta, this isn't his limit. Although he hasn't tried this technique in a while, he and Goku were working on something potentially useful in the Room of Spirit and Time. Vegeta begins powering up as Hit watches. His ki grows immensely, and then suddenly, he calms down. Vegeta shouts Kaioken, and he activates the technique, the crimson aura mixing with the blue flames of Super Saiyan Blue. The arena is filled with a blinding light and a deafening scream from Vegeta as he ascends beyond Super Saiyan Blue. Goku's not too surprised. He would have used this as well if he had the chance, because he has access to it too. But what he does know for sure, Vegeta is ahead of him at the moment, setting a higher ceiling for Goku to break. In case you need a little bit of a refresher, Vegeta did learn Kaioken in one of the previous parts, and even trained with it for quite a bit. With Goku learning Blue Kaioken, of course Vegeta's gonna learn it as well. Vegeta's ki soars even further. Hit is amazed. It's twice as strong, triple, quadruple. It keeps growing and it seems like it's not gonna stop. With one last push, Vegeta finishes his power up. Times 10! Cool, I got to do a crappy impression for this video. Anyways, Vegeta's now in Kaioken times 10 and launches towards Hit. Vegeta's power is too immense and Hit can't even do anything to counter it. Vegeta greets Hit with a flurry of punches and kicks, eventually charging up a final flash while Hit is temporarily stunned in the air. Not wanting to waste time, Vegeta charges the attack quickly, launching a full power final flash that sends Hit flying out of the ring, and nearly outside of the dome they're in as it pummels the glass and almost breaks it. Powering down, Vegeta sees the results of his power up, with him having won against Hit. Hit is outside of the ring, and he stands up, injured, but he's amazed at the power of Vegeta. Vegeta wants to fight Hit again someday. He knows that Hit's holding back and can't use his full abilities, but he'll have to save that for another time. The tournament isn't really a place for Hit to be using his assassin techniques. With this fight concluded, Universe 7 is victorious. The wish still happens, and Beerus wishes for Earth to be restored in Universe 6, just as a little gift for his brother. In the meantime, everyone goes back to their normal lives. Vegeta and Goku keep training, Piccolo and Tien also do as well, and Gohan still does, but to a lesser extent, and goes back to his work and family life. But we all know what happens after the Universe 6 tournament. Being such an interesting matchup and kind of a big tournament, Zeno wasn't the only one to witness it, and of course some of the other gods saw it as well on GodTube. Specifically, a Kai named Zamasu from Universe 10. The power that these mortals are showing off. It kinda angers him. We now skip ahead to the future Trunks timeline. Even though the events of the Cell Saga were different, nothing really changes too much in Trunks' timeline. It goes pretty standard. The only thing being that Trunks was a little stronger, but not really by much. And this is a bad thing for him, since the timeline didn't change at all, because he still gets an unexpected visitor. This visitor looks like someone from Trunks' past, someone who he thought he'd never see in his timeline again. This villain, it's not Goku Black. It's something that hits much closer to home for Trunks. It's Vegeta Black. Trunks is barely able to escape the assault that he's facing right now, and climbs into a time machine as it flies off and he sends him back to the past. Vegeta Black watches, a little bit disappointed that he didn't get to kill Trunks, but he'll be able to catch up to Trunks eventually. Trunks arrives back in the past, with Bulma finding him and calling Goku, Vegeta, and Gohan over. Trunks eventually regains his consciousness, and the first thing he sees is Goku and then Vegeta next to him. Still under a lot of stress, he instantly becomes hostile towards Vegeta, with him instantly attacking Vegeta, even though Vegeta's able to block it very quickly. Vegeta doesn't know what's gotten into Trunks, but he has to calm him down. Trunks eventually comes to his senses and realizes that he's in the past, and he apologizes for attacking Vegeta, but he does need to explain himself. He explains what happened in his timeline, and how there's a Vegeta clone there, or it might even be Vegeta but he's evil. He doesn't know who it is. This is weird for everyone to hear, obviously. Vegeta's supposed to be dead in the future, so it doesn't really make sense that there's one over there too. But according to Trunks' description, it doesn't seem like it's actually Vegeta, which is the most interesting part. While Trunks is catching everyone up to speed about what happened in his timeline so far, and who he thinks Vegeta Black might be, their conversation is suddenly interrupted. Not too far from Capsule Corp, above in the sky, a blackish-purple portal opens in the air all of a sudden. Emerging from the portal is none other than Vegeta Black. This is where we'll leave off for now. Given the different events in the Universe 6 tournament, how do you think this will affect the story as it goes on? How do you think the story will go now with Vegeta Black being revealed? And what do you want to see happen next, or what do you think will happen? Let me know your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below, and I'll be sure to read the comments and keep them in mind. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, and just so I can gauge interest, let's see if you guys can get this video to 2,000 likes, so I know you guys want another part. If you enjoyed, be sure to subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon for notifications about future parts of this What If, or any other videos I make on my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you on my next video.